Hello viewers, and welcome back to the Review Crew. This is where we talk about what we think, what we like, and what we dislike about movies. Today, we're going to be talking about the Christopher Nolan Masterpiece, Interstellar. And with me today are Phoenix, Will.
So, Zaf, you've been begging me for ages to do this film.
Ages!
Yes.
I think this is...
Good film.
I think this is a masterpiece of a film.
It's a great film. Honestly, this film, I think, is one of the greatest films of our generation. I was struggling to find something bad to say about this film, honest to God.
It is an emotional roller coaster. It is a film ultimately about love, really. It's a film...
I think that...
familial
not the
love.
main thing.
Familial love. A love between... It is, though.
What's that word?
Familial love.
Between...
Explain.
It means like family love.
Yeah, between Murph,
Right.
between this guy, Cooper,
Yes.
and his daughter. It's
Yes.
about their relationship, and it's about him juggling whether the fate of humanity as a whole, or him seeing his children again is more important. And that's what he's juggling throughout this whole thing.
Yes.
And then he's trying to comprehend, okay, is love something that we can comprehend? Is it something we should try to rationalise? That's his conversations with, what's she called?
With Brandt.
With Dr. Brand. That kind of idea of what actually is this? And then it's also a film brilliantly of science, and science is a key part, astrophysics is a key
Yes.
part of this plot.
And I think that they're just the general note throughout the film, it's very authentic.
Incredibly.
In terms of physics, they've taken it into a large consideration how authentic it is.
Yeah.
I think that they were very smart in the fact they actually got a physicist to help them make this film.
I mean, there are a few minor things, just very minor tweaks in terms of physics. Like, for example,
You were talking about that earlier.
we talked about how there's no notice of time dilation on
Dr. Man's Planet.
Dr. Man's Planet.
Yeah.
A few things like that.
That is a bit weird.
In the black hole, you should see a electromagnetic color shift. So it should be
If you say so.
on one side it should be blue, and on one side it should be red. We don't see that.
Granted, but at the same time we've got Christopher Nolan who, as the film's director, just for the record, the physicist did tell him to put that in, but as the film's director he decided it would look a lot better.
Exactly.
And in his defence, as the film director, he wasn't wrong. It did look a lot better like that.
And ultimately,
Yeah,
I
very
think
good.
I think this piece is driven by time dilation, by relativity.
Yeah.
The idea of there's practically like only really a few hours that pass for Murph.
Oh yeah.
No, for Cooper.
Yeah.
In this entire time, whereas for Murph, there's years. There's like 80 years or
Something stupid like that. Yeah.
And it's about the relationship between those two ideas, right?
I think the one thing that I think is wrong with this film is I hate Murph's teacher.
You don't believe we went to the moon?
I believe it was a brilliant piece of propaganda that the Soviets bankrupted themselves, pouring resources into rockets and other useless machines.
Useless machine. You know, one of those useless machines they used to make was called an MRI. And if we had any of those left, the doctors would have been able to find the cyst in my wife's brain before she died instead of afterwards. And then she'd have been the one sitting there listening to this instead of me, which would have been a good thing because she was always the calmer one.
They hate each other.
They have no. I don't think I can see a single character in this film that's two-dimensional, except for.
That woman.
No, except for Doyle. That's it.
That guy.
He's just.
He's just irrelevant.
Why is he relevant?
Because he plays no part in
Yes.
the plot.
I suppose so. He is kind of just there.
I think is that Murph's boyfriend?
No.
No. So it's the guy who died on the
They
Miller's
sack
planet.
him off on purpose.
The guy who died on the Miller's planet.
They're like,
Yeah.
this guy's irrelevant. See you later.
Yeah. Realistically, all he was there
They'll
for
sweep
was
you away
just
with a wave.
all he was there for was just to dock.
Yeah, he was there to
Was
dock.
just to dock the ship to the Endurance.
Yeah.
And then start the spinning.
I'm
That's
saying,
all he was there
It's
for.
completely unconvincing how he doesn't make it back to the ship.
Yeah.
Well,
he had
he
so
was
much
a bit of an
time.
idiot, wasn't
Oh,
he?
he is.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he kind of brought it upon himself, didn't he? He had plenty of time. He had so much time to get back to the ship, but at the same time, he was just standing there on Miller's planet in the war. He was, in fact, no, think it's not even like a time.
Pondering the
Yeah, It's not even like a question of could he have got back in time. He was standing next to the ship.
But I suppose,
I know.
imagine it. If you've got a wave coming to you that high,
Yes.
are some people not going to be paralysed by indecision?
Pardon? I mean,
The one decision is
they would have
your
gone.
life, though.
They would have gone through. They would have gone through some sort of survival training before the mission. I'm sure
Yeah.
to prepare them for events such as this. I love the philosophy of this
Yeah.
film. With that point, building on that, there's the philosophy in this film. I think is also very authentic. I love the philosophical element that they add to this film because it like authenticizes everything.
Yeah.
Everything that the characters feel, and I love all the talks that like the really philosophical talks that like Cooper and Donald have like before he goes to space about life and everything in general.
You have these conflicting ideas of like duty and greater good versus like familial morality and like seeing your family, and then you also have the idea of what is love. Murph thinks Cooper thinks that it's.
What?
Cooper thinks it's an evolutionary thing in order for us to procreate, but
he's not far off. But at the same time,
but Brand thinks that it's something greater that we can't understand.
Yes, I love the idea of the end. The ending of Interstellar is such an absolute flawless masterpiece. The whole Tesseract is brilliant. I love how it links back to the beginning.
It's this idea of everything you've seen can then be explained.
Yeah, exactly.
And it links back to the start.
Yeah, it's the big reveal, isn't
Because-
It's really good.
Because you've got the handshake, you've got the bookcase,
Yes.
you've got the sand,
The ghost.
You've got the watch,
the watch, the coordinates.
It's amazing.
Everything is understood.
the
The
sand
wormhole.
thing. Yeah, the
They
wormhole.
piece it together.
Everything is explained.
Everything
at
is
the end.
pieced together, and you have this kind of time loop in a way, this fabric that completely makes sense. And I feel like you could watch the film as we have done multiple times with that in mind.
This is the one negative that I found. The whole story of Interstellar is technically impossible
Why?
because without the wormhole, they would have been able to do it. And in order to get the wormhole, they needed the 5-dimensional beings. And in order to evolve into 5-dimensional beings, they had to survive.
Wouldn't the
And they
And
physicist,
you had to go through the wormhole.
And they couldn't have done that without the wormhole.
wouldn't the physicists writing this notice that though?
I think it's totally allowed.
Or do you think it's deliberate that they've done it in that way?
I think potentially
Maybe.
it's allowed on two grounds. The first thing is that it's allowed is that because no one's preventing anything, no one's stopping anything from happening. It's not like they're closing the 5-dimensional beings are closing the wormhole, which doesn't allow them to go into the wormhole in the first place to close it. Music. Music.
Ooh, who loves the music?
Oh my god, the
cornfield scene
The cornfield
is iconic.
maze chase is so iconic.
And they...
Orders, sort of like an altruistic drive to save humanity. I don't know.
Exactly.
It makes me feel so patriotic to be human.
It
In that
evokes
sense.
so much emotion when you're watching it.
Yes.
And you can almost understand the intentions of the characters
Yeah.
through the music.
Yes.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. I think one of the most, if not the most important thing about any film is, I'd argue, is the music. The music sets the tone of anything. The relationship between Murph and Cooper is the rock that they built this film on.
It's the driving motivation ultimately for both of them.
That's why the link from start to end is really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think they do foreshadowing just amazingly in this film.
Oh, definitely. They
They've
foreshadow
got the
everything.
stay foreshadowing, and Murph will make a fall of Dr. Brand.
Oh,
She
yes.
obviously solves the equation,
Yes.
so that becomes evident as well.
Another positive they have is cinematography.
Ooh.
Especially, I
example,
argue, for the
entering the
wormhole
wormhole.
scene.
Yeah,
The wormhole
wormhole.
is ridiculous.
I thought they had an amazing balance of CGI and like real life action.
It wasn't overused, the CGI, was it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They used it where they needed to. Like you obviously have to create some planets with CGI and stuff.
Yeah. But
That has to be done.
like I was saying, though,
It was
for them to
excellent.
do, the cinematography for the wormhole is just incredible.
I just wanted to expand on the wormhole scene. Let's face it, there's quite a lot of science in this film.
There is.
And if you're going into that film without any knowledge of Einstein's relativity
Yes.
or of wormholes,
I think they explain it.
then there's
quite
these two
well.
scenes
Yes.
whereby all of the science is explained.
Yes.
So you've got, firstly, there's the scene between Murph and Cooper at the start,
Yes.
where Cooper explains, okay, this is the fact that time's going to go slower, and there's going to be that dilation due to gravity.
Yes.
And you're like, even if you don't know much about science, you can accept that because it's explained in a simple way. So you're not trying to get your head around it the whole time. And then similarly, before they go into the wormhole, you're like, why is it a sphere? Well, here's an explanation of why it's a sphere.
Exactly. I think
A clear explanation.
Human beings-
Shortcut with the paper.
Yeah.
because human beings are very visual learners. I think the best way to explain anything to someone who doesn't understand something is to lay it out physically.
Yeah.
And they're really smart about this. This film kind of got get out of jail free card with the 5-dimensional beings, because any physics inaccuracies they can attribute to them.
Because anything in the black hole just be instantly crushed
Yeah.
into.
They've got to
Realistically,
get out of jail
there's
free
no way
card.
Murph and whatever he's called, Tars or whatever, is going to
Yeah.
survive that. So another one of the good things about this film is how much like space exploration there is. I mean, obviously you need space exploration
In a space film.
in a
Yes.
space film.
Yes.
So there's lots of different planets that they travel to, and it means there's a lot of dilemmas because within the crew we don't have enough fuel to travel to all three. Which planets do we travel
So
to?
Yes.
what do they pick between? They pick between Man and Edmonds.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And then that kind of sparks the whole love debate again
And they picked the wrong one.
because Bran's like, okay, but I'm in love with.
Yeah, no, why didn't they agree with Brand is my question.
Yeah.
Edmund, first of all,
She
had
offered
more,
the most valid.
he had more promising data. She went on that whole monologue about love, which
Love isn't something we invented. It's observable, powerful. It has to mean something.
they have no reason to suspect that his data would have gone down whatsoever.
And ultimately, she was right. It was the only inhabitable one.
Exactly.
And Man's planet was also in like the parameters of Gargantua. Was that what
Yeah.
it's called?
Yeah.
They were both in the black hole. And
There's
there
also
was,
the black hole monologue, yeah.
and there was no mention of the
And
what do
then,
you call it? Time slippage.
Yeah.
time
Man's
dilation on Man's planet.
when
Yeah.
it's literally
There's
in the same.
Because on
sort of
Miller's
distance.
planet, that's the whole plot of it.
I know.
So I think, to a certain aspect, you could say that time dilation is used only when it's necessary in plot. Negatives.
Negatives. Okay, I can't.
You can't do
Oh, no,
that.
right. No, that's fine. Right, we'll do negatives. Thanks for watching.
I think potentially my one negative. Firstly, as we said, I think sometimes they pick and choose with relativity a tad.
Yes, I can agree with that.
And secondly, I think it's a bit of a stretch that they lean on just the 5-dimensional beings for everything.
Yeah. It sort of gives them an excuse to like get past the whole black hole sort of issues with crushing them.
Yeah.
I suppose so.
Exactly. And also, I'd also say, along those lines, it's a bit of a stretch to say that you'd be able to solve gravity. And at the end, when they have that space station, there's like a cylinder type shape.
Yeah.
Is that really possible?
That's sort of
That's the point. The point is that they've solved gravity, so anything is possible, technically.
The whole Dr. Brandis and the old professor, him as a character, Michael Caine.
Yeah.
I like his character.
I like his character.
Yeah,
I think at the start his acting is a bit bland.
What? How is it bland?
Do you not think?
How is it more? How is it bland?
Okay. But he's important
I don't know what
because
he's talking
he's the
about.
driving emotion for his daughter, and also the motif of the poem is very emotional.
Oh, that is
Yes.
very good.
And they use that
I love the
multiple
idea
times
that
with-
it's like a theme all the way
Yeah.
through. I love the idea that they use.
It's a very philosophical poem as well.
Yeah, they use these different things all the way through. Like they use the whole, they use the poem, they use the 90% trust thing,
Yeah.
honesty thing, and
Oh yes.
Brilliant.
I was going to say Tars. I love him. He's so
Banter.
funny. He's like the 3PO of Interstellar.
Yeah. Tars and Coop Fantas.
oh yeah, the banter's hysterical.
He is like the 3PO of Interstellar.
He's the comedy part of it. Although I think I've argued they've kind of shoved him and they've gone, right, this is a tragic story, very sad, very, very dramatic. We need to put some humour in here. I know, we'll create a robot
But don't
that
they need a bit
has
of humour?
one-liners.
Don't they need a bit of humour? I don't mind that. I think it.
I know. I think that I'm not complaining about it. I'm saying they did it well.
Okay.
But I mean, at the same time, they could have had some other. They could have had some other characters have some sort of one-liners.
Oh, I see. But I think a sequel would ruin this.
Possibly.
Yeah, it's a
I
good.
don't know how they could drag it out.
It's a good standalone film.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of films I wish they would make sequels to. This is one of the. There are very few films I think they would probably ruin with a sequel.
Similar to Inception.
Just keep it like itself.
Yeah.
It's a good standalone film.
It's amazing.
Stands by itself. Right, so we do final thoughts then. Right, actually I'll start. So I think that overall this is an absolute cinematic masterpiece, and out of 10, I have nothing else to add about it. I could barely find anything bad about it. It's so philosophical. There's all the characters are three-dimensional. I love the music. I love everything about it. I had to give just 10 out of 10. It's perfect. There's only one word for this film. Perfect. 10 out of 10. What about you, Jeff? Any rating out of 10?
I'm gonna go. Am I allowed to use decimals, or are we going purely integers?
Go decimals, no, not.
Yeah, sure.
But only like to the nearest 5, I'd say.
Okay, I'm gonna go 9.5.
9.5.
Yeah.
What's missing off the 0.5 for you?
I think it's just a few of the physics discrepancies that just make it that bit. I can't say it's perfect.
Okay.
Because I think there's the fact that you have to make that jump in full faith in the five-dimensional beings, and they're like, okay, there's a few physics things wrong, but don't worry. You know, we've got the five-dimensional beings. We're sitting on that. It's fine. But I think in general, it's a masterpiece. There's so much emotion. The relationships are brilliant. Like you said, it's philosophical. Questions like, what is time? You know, is a key one. What is love?
Yes.
Greater good is another one. Morality as a whole. What it is to be human. All of these questions, the relationships in it are beautiful. It's cinematic.
Yes.
It makes for an incredibly emotional and enjoyable film, and I love it. I think it's a brilliant film.
Brilliant. Okay, so what do you overall think about this film and give it a rating out of 10?
I think it was spectacular. Like, first time I watched it, jumped up straight to one of my favourite films.
Definitely.
It was
100%.
really good. I thought they hit the nail on the head with the CGI.
Yeah.
It was all used when they needed to be. Characters are amazing, and I'd give it a 10.
You give it a 10 as well, yeah.
It's great.
You're just too hard. Right, guys, thank you very much for your time. I look out for the Matrix video when it comes out. It will be out soon. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Signing out.
Goodbye.
Adios.
Sayonara.